The clan's moot ended with resolve. Following the Gaia proposal, the clans would muster their armies and assault Savona, Thistlehold, Templewall, and Castor, a clear response to Ambria's taking of clansfolk lands that would start a new war. But the strike of Four Fangs would not be the only blow dealt to the Ambrian colonizers. The Queenseekers drove into the heart of Ambrian capital of Indaros, and the Deathcallers ventured deep into Davokar to entreat the wild and ancient beings for aid. They were distant grasps, but we needed the extra hope. Should the raids fail and Amria come at us with all their might, there would be no hope ever again for barbarians. This is the start of a new Symbaroum campaign that picks up where Ghost of Karahar left off. While I'm proud of that campaign, it was a smaller story, a tale of 5 people who went into a barbarian city and never returned. This is a story of war and the soldiers and the peacemakers within it. It involves 5 players with 3 characters each, and me, the game master, trying to guide it together. I don't know how long it will run, or where the story will lead, and that's just part of the fun of roleplay. So, thanks for joining me for the in-game story and the behind-the-screen insights. Let's begin. We opened our first session on the Queenseekers, being smuggled through an Ambrian way station. Barbarians travel through here, but 4 people in the group are pretty conspicuous and heavily armed. The odd man out is Melchizedek, who manages to talk his way through the Ambrian guards until an imperious Templar shows up and starts inspecting the wagon's goods. The wild man, Bejan, reveals himself in a barrel of fish, providing ample distraction for the stealthy archer Pterin to take out the Templar before she can even draw her weapon. Melchizedek casts confusion on one of the guards while Svanhild and Xena finish off the rest. Within seconds, the barbarians clear out, leaving behind strung-up Ambrian corpses in their wake. Then, we shift to the city of Thistlehold at night. The barbarian forces of 3 established tribes, plus the untested Weasel clan made from the remnant coalition of wiped-out Karahar, stealthily move out of the forest and around to the city before breaking through the sparsely guarded southern walls. Once the wall is breached, Weasel Clan has no real commander, so we follow our ragtag group of warriors doing as they please in the raid. The changeling pyromancer Zia, goblin bruiser Rocco, goblin strangler Suk, elf archer Scab, and ogre tank Calvor make their way through the mayor's mansion, the beacon, and finally the ballista battery before the Ambrians rally a defense and the barbarians successfully retreat to the winter forest. Cut back to the Queenseekers in Indaros 3 days later. They're holed up with a contact in the bohemian quarter of the populous capital at an inn and nightclub called The Scam. Their contact shows them plans of the city and a collection of supplies and artifacts delivered by the 10 clans to aid on their mission. But what their mission is will be defined by the group. The Queenseekers only have 7 days before word of the raids on Thistlehold and the rest of the Ambrian targets reaches Indaros, and the Queen musters her own armies for true war. Within that time, the group has options on how they can infiltrate the palace or catch the Queen in town to either reason with her, take her hostage, or assassinate her outright. And that's it for the first session. We aren't checking in on the third party right now because we have enough going on with these 2 parties. And it feels like I'm being light on the details about the characters for the Queenseekers and the Weasel Raiders, but that's because I went with a different approach in Session 0. Normally for a homebrew Symbaroum adventure, I'd ask for everyone's individual goals and a soft pitch, and then create the story based around the direction everyone wants to take their character in. But for our war song, the bigger picture of the war kind of had to be front and center. the players chose which of the 10 war proposals they wanted to go along with. Check out this video if you're interested in the setup. And they proceeded to make characters to fit the 3 plans they wound up going with. Now, as you can imagine, fielding multiple parties brings up some challenges, but is not unprecedented in role-playing games or in fantasy fiction, and is even expanded on in the Symbaroum Game Master's Guide through Troop Play. But that's a topic for another video. The point is, for right now, that everyone was okay with this and we're moving forward just fine. The Queen Seekers are our A team. They're going to take up the bulk of the game time, with the Raiders in second and the Unseen Deathcallers taking a distant third place. For the first session, the Queen Seekers had a lot of the plot, but the core action actually went to the Raiders. And this was really fun to set up and execute. I made a map of Thistlehold with multiple game spaces representing the different targets of the town the group could fight in, and the dashed lines between the targets represented random encounters that could happen along the way. Finally, I set up a Jenga tower to represent the tension of the fight, and for each encounter I made mass combat rolls for the Ambrian barbarian forces. Anytime the barbarians lost their role or the party encountered a setback or an injury, they had to remove a Jenga block. And every 30 minutes, they each had to remove a block with the threat that if the tower fell, the battle was lost. There were a lot of moving pieces and a ton of kills happening in the game, but because of Symbaroum's simpler combat system and beginner warrior nature of the Raider party, we were able to pull off a series of 1 or 2 round encounters before quickly moving on to the next. And it wasn't all action with no story. Because of the party's choices and their successes, they were able to rescue the Godinia clan chief, the Goea clan keeper, and kill off a friendly NPC whose name they didn't even hear before they pounced on her. It was chaotic and tense, but I think we captured the nature of the hectic battle I wanted to create. And if this sounds like a lot of work, you're correct. A lot of my tips in my professional career focused on a kind of lazy DMing strategy of getting the most fun session with as little prep possible. But to lay the foundation for this campaign, I pulled a full 8-hour shift of prep. That won't be happening in the future. I'll probably be going back to 30-minute prep sessions like I did for the Ghost campaign, but it was necessary for this one and I had a good time doing it. But that's all I'll discuss for today. Next time we'll dig deeper into these 10 characters, their builds, and their goals. Let me know what parts of the adventure you're most interested in before I post the next session recap and behind-the-scenes glances. Just bear in mind that my players watch these videos, so I won't be giving away any spoilers for the plot of future sessions. Till then, have an at one day. Bye-bye.